It's Radio Free 501c, the voice of Road Tulips Consulting. I'm your host, Cecilia Sepp. Don't forget to subscribe. We're on all your favorite podcast services. This week, I welcome first-time guest Jen Swanson. She's been a longtime association and nonprofit executive, and she's also a solo staff marketing department. So we're going to talk about the challenges and rewards of that. Welcome to episode 192. Hey, everybody, it's Monday, April 17th, and that means it's time for another episode of Radio Free 501c, the voice of Road Tulips Consulting. I'm your host, Cecilia Sepp. I'm the principal and founder of Road Tulips, and I want to thank you for joining us this week. To our global audience, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be, and thanks again for joining us. This week, I'm really excited to welcome first-time guest Jen Swanson, who is a longtime nonprofit management executive, but she's also currently a solo staff marketing department. So Jen's going to talk with us today about what that is like and how she manages being the one person in an entire department. But before we do that, I want to welcome you, Jen. Thanks for joining me this week. And would you like to say hello to our audience and tell us a little about yourself?
Well, thank you so much, Cecilia, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Cecilia mentioned, I'm Jen Swanson. I've been in associations for 15 years, which feels almost impossible. And I've been marketing for at least 10 of those years. I've earned my CAE and my master's in nonprofit administration. So I've found a long-term home in associations and nonprofit management, and I really love it here.
Oh, that is fantastic. I did not realize you had a graduate degree. That's wonderful. Because I was talking with some people about a week or so ago, and we were talking about the fact that there's very few graduate programs anymore in nonprofit management. So I'm glad there's still one out there.
There is, and I actually North Park in Chicagoland, and it was a very wonderful program. I learned quite a bit.
Oh, that's great. There's another, you'll have to come back and talk about that in the future, because I think that is something that's on a lot of our minds right now, is the future of this as a career, working specifically as a nonprofit executive. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about doing other work, which is marketing, and you are the solo marketing department. So what is that even like?
It depends on the day. It can be a lot of really tedious spreadsheets and creating social media posts, which I do love, but it can also be helping to educate board members or leadership about the importance of marketing, or how to best write an email, or why you don't spell out a URL in an email, and how to kind of, you'd be surprised. Why, what a call to action is. So it's a little bit of high level thinking and planning, and then also you're the one doing the nitty gritty. So you're the architect and the builder and the masonry person of your own department.
Wow. And I guess also the interior designer.
That as well. Though there are people on, most of our teams that also think they're interior designers, but aren't really.
Yeah, isn't that always the truth? There's always people who think they're really good at something. And they, I love it that they have that much faith and confidence in themselves. But we all, as Clint Eastwood said, as Dirty Harry, a man's got to know his limitations. So,
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but I've never pretended to know finance. So I'm not going to pretend to be an accountant, but everybody thinks they're a marketer.
Right. Isn't that funny? I mean, and just on that topic real quick, because it does relate to what you do and why you're here to talk with us today. I've never thought of myself as a marketer, because I think of myself as a communications person. I'm a writer. I develop content, but I've never really thought of myself as a marketer. I have something of a talent for it, but I would never say, yeah, hire me to run your marketing department. But I try to be self-aware about that stuff. Like I would never be a finance person either. I just know, nope, that is not my strength. So I'm not going to do that. Sort of like I like to sing. And I love to sing, actually. Am I very good at it? No, probably not, but I do enjoy singing. Nobody's going to pay money. Well, they might pay me money to stop. Let's put it that way. But
Well, and
I,
I think it's so great about, knowing your own limitations. My husband's a graphic designer and
mhm.
I am very much not. But when you're a solar marketer and you may not have the bandwidth or the money to pay for somebody to do graphic design, I found myself having to schlep together something in Photoshop and it's good enough. But my husband will look at it and be like, oh, and I'm like, I know, but I'm not a designer. I don't have that skill set. I'm doing what I can with what I've got.
Well, hey, husband, maybe some pro bono work. Don't criticize. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
He's definitely taught me a lot of things, which has been really helpful, but I am nowhere near his skill set.
Well, and you're absolutely right. That is a very unique niche. I agree wholeheartedly because it's called graphic designer, but it's really, I think, more toward the art side
Absolutely.
of the world. It's a very creative thing. I used to do graphic design years ago. So I know how to place things that am I as good as your husband? I'm not, no. I'm just, but I kind of know where to put it. But you're right, there's a difference of being able to do something and then that being like your area that you're super good at. Right. And I bet though, with what you do as a solo marketing department, though, you're probably very strategic. Although I know, like you said, you're the builder and the interior designer and the landscaper for the property. But I bet, isn't there a lot of strategy that goes into what you do?
There is. And I think one thing that I try to do is make the strategy really sound so I don't have to have all the bells and whistles, because strong content, strong messaging, strong strategy
Mhm.
wins out over flashing lights and the fancy things you can do with design or different things. But if you have trash strategy or bad language or bad messaging, no amount of lipstick is going to make that pretty.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of that old saying lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
it's
was thinking too.
you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. That's well, I guess unless it's Miss Piggy, but that's another thing. But oh gee, please, whoever owns the Muppets, don't come after me for mentioning Miss Piggy for copyright or whatever. But I think though one of the problems now, I've been a solo staff department, not in marketing, but in component relations, chapter relations, that I think is a little more common than people might think. I was very surprised to hear you were a solo marketing department. That's a little more unusual. But do you find it's hard to connect or work with or uh, do projects with the other staff because you're a solo person?
I don't. I've been really lucky. I think it's easier for me because they know it's just me.
Mhm.
So they're willing to, when I come to them and say, okay, guys, you're the subject matter expert, or you're, the person that wants this to go out. I need you to give me the meat of it and I can judge it. I can make it better. I can make it ready for the public. And I think that's helped them understand that they have to be ready with an idea when they come to me. They can't just say, I want a blog post to go up in 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want it to be about? Where's the copy? How are we gonna, disseminate it? Are we gonna have social? And they're like, what? I was like, okay, you guys can't come to me with an idea unless you at least have some structure behind it. And I think that's been really beneficial.
So you're almost like training them in a way.
Not that they'd ever know it, but yes.
It's gentle training in the background.
It's a little Pavlovian, I think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's funny because I am so Pavlovian. It's not even funny. It's like, you don't even have to give me a biscuit and I will just do the action. It's like, I find, it's just a weird thing. I think with all of us, we just have this muscle memory about things. So like, even if, here's my example, since I've gone there. Yes, I've gone there. I've gone to the Pavlovian side of me. Okay. So when the light is on the basement stairs to go downstairs, and I'll see that the light is on, intellectually, I know the light is already on. I don't need to flip the light switch, but I will flip the light switch because it's just a reaction. And so I just start laughing at myself and I turn the light back on and go, I'm so Pavlovian, because it's like my muscle memory has hit that light switch when I go down the steps. So it's that's this little thing about me people probably did not want to know. But
And I think even past, muscle memory, I think our brain doesn't want to have to think about an extra thing. So
mhm,
it just knows you're going to go down the stairs. I'm going to flip the light switch. So it's one less thing your brain has to actively think about. And I think
right.
especially as a solo department lead, any little thing that you can check off that list that doesn't take up brain space is really helpful.
And that's a great segue to bring it back to our topic, because I think when we are a solo person, like I mentioned, I was one too. I still am. I'm a solopreneur right now. So I tend to have my ways of doing things so that I don't have to worry about it. Like you said, I don't have to think about it. But in some ways, muscle memory is a good thing. So it's a good thing for athletes. I think it's a good thing for us with managing our workload. Because if you're a solo staff person like yourself and you are working with other departments and other people, you really do have to have those things in place so that you don't have to worry about your systems. Now, do you need to adjust your system from time to time? Do you need a new process? Can you tweak it? Can you make it faster? Can you make it better? Yes, you can. And when you see that opportunity, we should do it. So all kidding aside about Pavlov's dog and experimentation and reactions, it's like sometimes it's a good thing to have those systems in place, because if you're managing your workload and then, like you've mentioned, you're also gently leading other departments and educating other departments so that they're getting a much better outcome from working with you, then that benefits everybody. But you still have to do your full day of work.
Absolutely. And I think when you're the only person in a department and you work with deadlines, whether it's marketing deadlines or meeting deadlines, people don't always understand how much work has to be done on the front end before you get to that actual deadline. Meeting planning seems so effortless when you have a great meeting planner. The same with anything with a deadline. I have to build in time knowing that my colleagues or volunteer leadership or myself, I need a little bit of wiggle room in case something doesn't get in on time or somebody's out sick. And I don't think that's fully appreciated all the time
Mhm.
until I'm out sick or I go on vacation. Goodness gracious, how dare I? But having to, get things set up so that I can go on vacation and not worry 90% of the time, maybe only 50% of the time.
No, I just love that because, you probably still worry. I'm just going to guess if you're anything like me, you're probably worrying 75% of the time when you're out of the office on vacation.
On a good day, yeah.
Yeah. Because you try to let it go. But if you are you are the person, you are Jen, the marketing department. It's hard to not worry about it and it's hard to let it go. And you want to make sure that everybody's getting what they need when they need it. And unfortunately, no matter how many times you tell people you're going to be out of the office, they will come to you the last hour of the last day you're in the office and say, I need this thing by tomorrow morning. And then you have to disappoint them.
Yeah. And I'm going on vacation in August. I'm going to Disney World with my husband and our friends. And I made it clear already, I'm going to be in Disney World in August. I will not be bringing my laptop. You have, 4 months to figure out what you need before then. If you can't work within that timeline, we've got a bigger problem.
I'm just laughing because I just know how people are, 4 months is not enough. We should have 6. But I do hope that you just go on vacation and politely say, hey, you know, I put it out there a long time ago and I'm sorry you're going to have to wait or you're going to have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's really important to have at least 2 people in every department, because really the job of marketing, you can say it's everybody's job, but one person is the lead. And I think a lead team is better. That's my opinion. So chief staff executives of the world, keep that in mind. You should probably have at least 2 people in every department, or at least have cross-functional teams where somebody can cover for Jen so she can go to Disney World and not worry. Because now when you go on vacation, now you're a solo person, so you're putting out lots of energy, you're putting in a lot of time. So what do you do on vacation to help like refill your creative well?
My husband and I are very active vacationers, so we're going to Disney on our vacation, which means I will probably come back more tired than I leave. But that's my kind of ideal vacation. We like to go and do stuff, travel, eat great food, have an adult beverage or two. So I think that kind of energy and just being somewhere new is really energizing to me. And I've been a Disney fan since I was teeny tiny, thanks to my grandparents. So
Oh,
anytime I'm there, it's very magical to me, and it's not for everybody, and I get that, but we like to just go and absorb it all. And I try not to worry about anything happening. And I mean, like you mentioned, having cross training.
mm,
I have to have at least someone in the office at the executive level that knows like the crisis communications plan, or what to
okay.
do, or how to send out an email if something happens, that is just catastrophic, and hope that I don't have to jump in, but know that, we had a celebrity die in a facility that we accredited before I started. Um, and someone had to send out a press release about it because it was a big deal. And you always hope that that never happens while you're working, that you have to send out something because a board member said something crazy or one of your members did something just awful. But the reality is, when you're a solo marketing person, or even at, the leadership level, there's always someone that on a Saturday or at 9 o'clock at night is going to have to respond to that.
Great. I mean, well, now that's interesting. You mentioned the crisis communications plan, which some people might say is more of a communications area. So are you a solo marketing and communications department?
And PR, and I'm sales. I do our exhibits.
Oh my gosh. So you're a solo 4 department person basically, because
It
I know.
it took a long time before I realized that those were different departments in different companies.
Oh my gosh. You so need to hit every bar in the Epcot Center when you're on vacation.
I'll tell my husband that you told me I had to do that.
Oh my gosh. I gotta tell you, all right, I'm already in trouble with Disney for mentioning Miss Piggy because if I remember correctly, they also own the Muppets now, in addition to the Marvel universe. So there you go, Disney, 2 free placements. No, we have been to Disney World a couple times, and every time we go to the Epcot Center, we go in a good mood and are having fun. And we usually end up like in tears and having too many drinks, trying to just find our way home. Because you go from each little area and then you're having drinks and you're having fun until you get lost. And then you realize how tired you are and you're over by some car exhibit when you thought you were in France. And it turns into a nightmare scenario. And then you're just trying to make your way back to the yacht club, So, but
Luckily at Epcot though, you wouldn't be the only ones crying. There's screaming babies, there's crying adults. It's everyone.
That is so true. But I got to tell you, like the worst thing that I saw was somebody, they have the characters and they had Belle and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, which is one of my favorite newer, more modern classics that they do. Well, of course, but the Beast costume, it's huge. And this man was forcing his little girl to go over and talk to the Beast, and she was terrified. She's crying. She's like 3 years old. She's crying. No, I don't want to. And he's like, come on, come over and say hi. And I'm just like, now how sensitive is that? Not as my husband and I were sitting there sipping champagne because we were in the France part. But I was just like, what is going on here? So you're right. We're not the only ones who are usually in tears at the Epcot Center. But it is a lot of fun. I got to tell you, we've had fun. There's so much to do there. And we actually we stayed at the Grand Floridian one time when
Mhm.
we went there, and we were in a room where you could see the glass carriage for all the weddings, because like women come down there for the Disney wedding and they get the glass carriage from Cinderella and they have the white horses and all the guys are dressed up like from the movie, and then these brides would come out to get in the carriage, and so beautiful, and just seeing what the other people are doing is fun too. Which is just, although, I gotta say though, most real experience. Okay, now I'm really gonna get in trouble with Disney.
No, we're advertising for them for free.
We're doing free advertising at Disney. The most real experience we had at Disney was we rented one of those little mouse boats.
Oh, cute.
Okay. And we're out like, the little 2-person boat, and we're just like driving around. And I was like, that was fun. And so then, the next day we did it again, but they didn't have the little boat just for 2 people. It was a little bit bigger boat for like 4 people. Well, the steering wheel quit working in the lagoon as the lagoon launch is like coming straight at us, and it's like full of people. It was like one of those tour boats, and I'm like trying to get out of the way, and my husband's like, turn the wheel. I'm like, it just won't turn. We're going to get hit, but they realized we couldn't control our boat, and so they ended up going around us. But I was like, that was the most real experience I had there because it was like we almost got run over. But otherwise, generally, we had a great time. Even almost getting run over by the Magic Kingdom launch, what was a good time to put a crisis plan in place.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I was just gonna say, Disney is so magical for me, but I've always admired the way that their cast members like really just go above and beyond, and every single person is doing justice to like Walt's original plan down to, they're not supposed to say, I don't know. If you ask them something, it's always, let me find somebody who can help you. Or,
I love that.
you dropped your drink or your ice cream. I'm a huge klutz, so that happens to me more often than not. Or I trip and half my drink's gone, and they'll replace it. And it's one of those things that I really try to embody is, I don't know everything, and that's okay. You don't have to know everything, especially as somebody that's a solo department. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm not sure. Let's figure it out. Let's find the best way to do X. Or when I started my first marketing job, I didn't know how Twitter worked. And you know what? I bought a book and I started playing around with it, and I learned Twitter. I mean, it's nothing to be so scared of. There's always a way you can find it. There's a YouTube for everything. I replaced my bathroom sink a couple weeks ago by watching a couple YouTube videos. It's
Oh my gosh.
as my dogs and my husband were all staring at me because I was the only one that could fit under the sink. So
Oh, okay. Well, but still you did it.
yeah, you got to be willing to try it and know that there's something out there that you can use to guide you. I mean,
Right.
even IT professionals, and they don't want you to know this, sometimes they Google to figure out what's wrong with your computer.
Right. That happens more often than not. I know that's true. But why do they hide it?
I don't know.
It's like you just said, there's nothing wrong with not knowing as long as you know how to find the answer.
Right.
And you're willing to admit, I don't know, let me go find it. And bring it back to our topic, the solo staff person needs to have that kind of an open mind of, I don't know, let me get a book or let me look it up online. And you're absolutely right about YouTube. There are so many helpful videos, like how-to videos on YouTube. You can learn how to do anything. And what always gets me is like how young some of the people are. Like we used to have a Wii, and the drive wasn't working right. And so I'm like, well, how can I fix this? And there was a 9-year-old boy had done a YouTube video about how to take your Wii apart and put it back together with a new disk drive in it. I was floored. I was like, this is amazing. These little kids are the ones who should be making money on YouTube, the
Oh
ones
yeah.
who can actually show you something useful. But it's really, we've been having a lot of fun talking about, Disney and YouTube and doing things, home improvement projects. But I think it really all does relate to our topic of being the solo staff person, because in all these scenarios, what we're doing is we're seeing customer service from Disney. I don't know, but let me find someone who can help you, or let me get you a new ice cream cone because you bumped into someone and dropped yours. That's really member service, as customer service. And every interaction we have is marketing. So
Absolutely.
it's like anytime we talk to a member, anytime we talk to a potential member or a stakeholder of another kind or a vendor that we work with, it's all member service. And how we're getting that message out, because our marketing message should always be focused on our mission and how we fulfill our mission in the end. Even if you're promoting, we have a new book coming out, or we have conference coming up, and people might think, well, the marketing is about conference. But it's really about our mission, right? I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on that. That's my view.
No, I absolutely do. And I think especially when it comes to like the people on the front lines, your customer service, your member services, your specialists, those people are usually the first face, voice, whatever a customer is going to see or hear or talk to. They need to be up to date with, what's going on. They need to know your values and your mission and be those kind of people you want interacting with folks. I try very hard to make sure that our staff knows what kind of emails are going out, because I started in customer service in my first association job, and I hated not knowing what was going on and getting a call from a member saying, "Hey, I just got this email. I want to buy this." And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Gosh.
So I really try to make sure our folks know, like, "Hey guys, we're sending out this email about X. This is what it means. This is who to go to for questions," because I hate for them to be put in that situation.
Right. No, I just love that you just said that, because so many times we're siloed. You're definitely not siloed. I mean, your PR, your communications, your marketing, your crisis management. I mean, you do it all, but so many times it happens, and I don't even think it's intentional.
No.
We just get focused on what we're doing, and we don't pay attention. So I love that you make sure your colleagues know what's going on, so that they know what to do with a call, because if we want to have empowerment and we want everybody to own it when something hits their desk, they can't own it if we don't tell them what's going on, right?
And I think, having worked in the customer service department too, when I started, I'm also very intentional about user experience on our website, because that's who it's for. And if you can't find something on a website and you're going more than 3 or 4 clicks, they're going to call your folks on the phone, and then they're going to get frustrated. And an easy to navigate website is going to do better for revenue, because people are going to be able to buy things, order things, register for things easier. They're not going to call and bottleneck up the phones, because they're not going to need to call to figure out how to get to a page that they should have been able to find.
Mhm.
So I try to employ that too, with when I do things on our website, to make it easier to find, navigation that makes sense, speaking to the customer, not at them.
Well, so you play a big part in that on your website.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's a struggle having to do that education
Mhm.
to help understand, why you need to have a call to action, how you brand and message things on the website. Because we had a great website, when I started 5 years ago, it was very pretty and it had a lot of words, but it didn't say anything. And it took a couple years to help really educate and get that gauge to move to a website that now is much more about how we're helping our members, our facilities, what we can help them do, how we help the general population, and not just, we're so great, this is why you should be a member.
I wow, I just, what you were just saying about websites being pretty but not saying a whole lot. I mean, of course, I'm a bit of a smart ass, so I was thinking of like all different kind of things, like, oh yeah, that's what my first husband was like. Pretty but the title of it is, no, I'm just kidding. I've only been married once so far. Um, but I think when we're looking at that, okay, so we're talking about the website, and that's like our window on the world, right? So that's like our shop window. So from the marketing perspective, I love that you try to be hands-on with that, and get people to think it through, like make it easy to find, because if you're like me and you go to a website and you're trying to find a thing, and it should be easy to find, and you can't find it even when you use their search bar, what does that do?
Makes me go to another website.
Exactly. Excuse me, a little bit of dry throat there, folks. But that's really the thing. We don't think about the end user. So you were talking earlier about how you do everything. You do graphic design, you do messaging, you educate your colleagues. And I think, to be successful at that, especially as a solo department, you have to think about the end user. So when you're looking at the website experience, how is the member of the public who's looking up information about us interacting? Are the members able to get to the members only part quickly and easily? And once they get there, can they find what they're looking for there? Uh, you know, uh, Making sure your coworkers understand how things work. That's all thinking about the end user, and how they're doing that, and getting that message out to them. So
And
what,
it's so
what,
much, sorry, it's so much easier to educate your team when
mhm,
it's not about what I think and what I want to do. It's about really what's best for our members, our constituents, our end users. It's so much easier to help educate them and help them break bad habits when
mhm.
you've got a real reason behind it, not just, well, I like purple, so I want the website to be purple.
That's true. Unfortunately, too many decisions get made that way. It's like, I like this. I heard about this was many years ago, but I heard about a senior VP at a nonprofit organization bought a townhouse for the organization in Alexandria because they liked the woodwork. And it's like, okay, well, this has nothing to do with what you do for your mission or where your location should be, but you like the woodwork. And it's like, okay, not the best choice. Sorry, I'm just saying, folks, it's not the best choice. But Jen, before we wrap up, I mean, I cannot believe our conversation has gone so quickly. It's been so fun. And I hope you are interested in coming back and continue talking about marketing in the future. But before we do our wrap up, I like to ask people who do marketing and communications, and you do it all. I mean, you are not just a solo marketing department, you're marketing, communications, PR, website management to a certain extent, crisis management to a certain extent. So do you think, this is a question I ask everybody in the communication marketing area, do you think marketing is a subset of communication, or do you think communication is a subset of marketing?
Oh gosh. I think I've honestly used the terms interchangeably for as long as I can remember.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know, maybe they're two sides of the same coin.
Oh, I like that. You're the first person who said that.
Oh, all right.
Because I think you're right. I think I probably lean more that way. Although in the past I've said that marketing is a subset of communication. Because the way I look at it is like there's communication, and then within communication, you do marketing and PR and all the other things that we do. But I like that. I think marketing and communication are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's because I haven't been in a delineated role where I'm only doing one piece.
Mhm.
In my world, exhibit management and the website and social media and marketing and PR and everything else, all those ands, they're all part of my job description, and my job says marketing on it. So I just am like, okay, yeah, it's all marketing.
My gosh, and I'm just imagining like if your job description were ribbons at a conference, how we ribbons on. I mean, your ribbon would be down to your knees at least, if not the floor. That's really that is great. Well, I'm sorry to wrap this conversation up. I've had a great time talking with you, and again, kudos to you for doing such a great job as a solo staff person with so many responsibilities. That's a big load to carry.
Thank you. It's been interesting, and I've learned a lot. I think that is one thing about being a solo staff person is you wear a lot of hats, so you learn a lot of great things.
That's wonderful. I've always tried to take that attitude as well. So I'm glad to hear that, because you're right. You get more opportunities. It can be frustrating some days because you are the only person, but on the other hand, I think it's a little more fun.
Yeah.
So, well, at the end of every episode, Jen, I like to ask my guests, what is the one thought you'd like the audience to take away today? And how can they get in touch with you if they'd like to follow up and continue the conversation?
Sure. So the one takeaway I would say is it's okay not to know everything. Nobody knows everything. Anybody who says that they do know everything is a liar, liar, pants on fire. And you can get in touch with me via LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn/in/Jen L. Swanson. My profile picture, I've got pink hair and a blue shirt, so I'll be easy to find.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's some good directions.
I have found that Swanson, which is my married name, is a lot more common than my maiden name of Raguth. So there's a lot more Jennifer
Oh,
Swansons out there.
wow. Wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. So because we're connected on LinkedIn, so I don't worry about it because you pop up when I look, but that's a good point. So, but I guess it's one benefit of being a Cecilia. There's not too many of us out there. At least not too many of us who spell it right. But bump. Okay.
Versus the thousands and thousands of Jennifers.
Oh my goodness. Well, and Jennifer is generally, I guess, spelled the same way. Well, I guess some people use a G sometimes.
That was in the later the later years, not in the mid 80s.
No, unfortunately for us. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You are too funny. You definitely have to come back.
Oh, absolutely. I would love it.
No, this has been so fun. Thank you. So it is time for us to go rogue, but we'll be back next week with another exciting episode. So please don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to learn more about Rogue Tulips Consulting and how we can help your organization bloom outside the box, you can visit our website, roguetulips.com. Look at our services page. We actually do a lot more than you might think we do. And if you're interested in CAE education or professional development in the nonprofit area, or you're just a curious sort like myself, check out the Rogue Tulips Education Program, the 501c League. It has its own website, the 501cleague.net. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. On behalf of Jen and myself, we'll see you next time.